Hi everyone. All right, we're in Disney right now and I'm at our hotel. We're staying at the Old Key West Resort. I'm going to share, just to get ready with me, and share what makeup I brought on this trip, any tips or tricks I may have for helping your makeup last longer when you're in like high heat and humidity type situations, and just kind of share the ways that I reapply sunscreen and what my makeup process is like when we're on a Disney trip. So if I know a lot of you guys watching probably have been around for a while, but if you are new, maybe you are looking for this kind of content, my name is Jessica. Welcome. I do vlogs, I do makeup-y beauty videos, and everything in between. I'd love to have you join by subscribing. Hopefully the ambient noise here is not too loud. Let's dive in. I'll have every makeup product and beauty product linked below if you are curious about this specific one. Yeah, you can literally hear like Disney buses going by constantly, and I feel like there's a weirdly high number of helicopters. Do I hear one coming now? No. Like every few minutes I feel like there's a helicopter going over. It's very bizarre. We're also like, this resort has a golf course like right here, and so literally I'm watching someone golf right now, which is really cool, honestly. I wonder if he can hear me. I should be quiet. It's like fishing, right? Okay, so one thing I've learned over the years of coming here is that for whatever reason, I think it's the water, my skin always feels so dry, and the sun doesn't help too, right? So a lot of times I will put on a moisturizer before I've even gone into my sunscreen. Sometimes at home I skip the moisturizer because the sunscreen is moisturizing enough, but here my skin needs it. So this is the Dr. Jart Ceramide Cream. It's like a little travel size of it, but I also don't have, I didn't bring like my biggerish travel mirror, so I'm using like this little powder foundation thing. But I do kind of a thin layer because I'm going to be piling on a nice thick layer of sunscreen, so I just want that little bit of moisture. I don't think I brought it this trip. I haven't found it. We've been here a couple days. I usually bring my vitamin C serum as well, and that can really help with counteracting the effects of the sun when you're in it every single day. So I would recommend bringing it. I'm so mad at myself that I can't find it. I will link my favorite vitamin C serum below. All right, so I brought 2 sunscreens, and I'm gonna be honest, when I was packing for this trip, I thought, Jessica, you don't need to bring 2 sunscreens. But then I realized, like, you know what? The most important thing I'm putting on my face on this trip is sunscreen, so to have more than one option just to make me happy is fine. So these are 2 actually kind of newer ones to me, but I'm really, really loving both. This one is the Kiehl's Better Screen UV Serum. So it's SPF 50 sunscreen. It has collagen peptides, all kinds of good skincare in it. And so I've really enjoyed this. This, I'll show you on my hand, is kind of more of like a, I would say, traditional feeling sunscreen, but it's really, really lightweight. So like that white cast is gone quickly. Whereas, you know, some other sunscreens you've tried, you're just rubbing and rubbing and it's still white. That's not this at all. This really just feels like a lovely moisturizer, but it's actually a sunscreen. So really liked that. I've not noticed any of my dryness peeking through when I've been using this. The other one I've been loving, and the reason I brought 2 is because this is more of a glowy one. So this is the In Beauty Project Mineral Sun Glow. This one is a mineral SPF. This one is not. This is the one, it's got avobenzone, homosalate, blah, 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 all the 4 that are always in everything. So they are very different types of sunscreen, and they're also different finishes. So this one I have in fair medium. They have a couple different shades. I got this on Sephora, and I have to say, I am really loving this too. It just depends on what you like. They're both really nice, and they've been working really well underneath makeup. So this one is glowier, but it's not like super goop glowy. If you've tried that, I love that too. This one is just slightly glowy, and I have been loving it. So I'm going to use this today. I just feel like this has made my skin look so much less dry than it is, and it's protecting it. It kind of serves as a glowy primer underneath my base product that I'm going to put on. And I usually just do 2 layers just to be safe, and I really, really try to focus on my nose, and my upper forehead is where I always get I mean, everywhere else too, but you know what I mean. Those are, I feel like, the places I miss somehow, especially up there, and then I end up getting burnt there. It's also like afternoon, so this is, doesn't it feel like a trip when you shower in the middle of the day, like you've done something in the morning, then you shower before you have your evening festivities? That's been the vibe today. We were at the pool today and just stayed around the resort, and it was exactly what we needed after a few park days where we were just, all 4 of us were so exhausted. So this has been maybe my favorite day yet. We're going to Epcot tonight for dinner and I'm so excited. So I'm gonna put on another layer just to be safe. But like I said, both of these have not pilled up or done anything weird underneath makeup, which is really nice. Don't let me forget to tell you in a little bit how I've been reapplying sunscreen, because that was probably the #1 most asked question. So for my base, I have been mixing this BB cream with this foundation. Total overkill. The only reason I'm mixing is because I had been self-tanning. Honestly, most of it's faded now, but I had self-tanned before I came, and so I needed something darker, but I really wanted to bring this foundation, so this was darkening this. Does that make sense? So this is that's just my own thing, is my point. But I'm gonna be honest, I love this Herborian BB cream so much. I wish they would expand the shade range. My typical shade is Claire, and it is one of the most beautiful finishes on the skin ever. I do have another product that is just like this that I've loved for like a decade, and it's like $10 on Amazon. I will link below if you were curious, because honestly, that's what I would recommend. But the beauty of that, the one I linked below and this, is that they also have SPF in them, so it's just additional SPF coverage, and I definitely would recommend whatever base product you're going to use, if you can find one that also has SPF, you're just layering it on. That sun is no joke, you guys. I cannot stress that enough here, especially when you're outside so much. So I basically just put the Makeup Forever here on my hand, and then just got a little bit. Now that it's faded, I'm kind of like, do I even really need, maybe I'll darken it just a bit. But yeah, just mixing it in a bit. My thing is, I've realized that like there are 2 different types of makeup wearers at Disney if you're wearing makeup. I mean, well, there's 3. 1, they don't wear makeup. But if you're watching this, you'd probably be one that would want to wear some kind of makeup maybe to Disney. I don't know. My point is, I used to be the kind of makeup lover at Disney where I would want to wear the most full coverage stuff, and I would need to reapply it all the time because you would really see where something wore off. But I've kind of transitioned, at least this season of my life with young kids. I don't know if that's it or not, but where I'm just less concerned about it. So I'm wearing stuff that still has coverage. I definitely want to look put together or feel put together, but I don't want it to be so obvious if something wears away, because inevitably I'm gonna, you know, blow my nose, or my kids are gonna be touching on my face, or you know what I mean, any various things that might happen. And so I like doing products like this because it definitely looks nice, but it's not going to be as obvious. Like, I've been blowing my nose each day. It's allergy season for me, and so it hasn't been wildly obvious when something has worn off. I honestly feel like half of my makeup bag was base products like that. The makeup bag I got on Etsy. I think it's still being sold. It's just this really cute checkered Minnie Mouse one. It was not very expensive. It's very simple on the inside. There's no organization, but I was like, I have to have it. My shirt and ears I can link. They were both from Etsy as well. The only concealer I brought actually was my Natasha Denona. Best concealer I've ever used in my entire life. I do have another favorite that comes close that I've loved for a long time. Also on Amazon, also under $10. I will link below that, like, they're neck and neck, but this one does eke it out, but it's also way more expensive, so the other one is so good too. I don't know if it's just me getting older, but I'm 35, and I've definitely started to notice that, like, when I would not wear makeup, like, you know, on a weekend or whatever, or heck, throughout the week, days that I'm just not wearing makeup, and I'll look in the mirror, I'm like, oof. Like, even just a little concealer would really make a big difference. Like, I just feel like, you know, you start to really see it, like, oh my gosh, my dark circles are really becoming so much more pronounced than I feel like they used to be. Is that a part of aging? I feel like it is. So I usually just throw something in my brows. I brought with me the Benefit Precisely My Brow Wax in the shade 4. I have to wipe some of this off though. It's pretty pigmented. So our 2-year-old Felicity is currently napping. The room we're staying in is, so we're at Old Key West, and it was the original Disney Vacation Club resort that they built, and so their rooms are spacious and cozy and just very homey. That was the whole point. But they did a good job. Like, they're updated and renovated, and they look really, really nice on the inside. But it's got all the comforts of home, like washer and dryer, full kitchen, all that kind of stuff. Well, the only drawback is a lot of resorts that you stay at have multiple modes of transportation. This one only has buses, and it can be a little bit tricky because it's also a large resort, and once you get on the bus, you're going to other stops in this hotel, then finally going on to the park. And like, it's not as bad when you're leaving, but when you are coming back and you're so exhausted and you've got kids that are tired and you're finally made it to the hotel, but then you've got like 10 or 15 more minutes of just bus stops within your own hotel until you get to your stop. That's a little rough. But I will say that this resort, this room, we got a 1-bedroom villa. It was just around a little bit more expensive than a regular room at like one of the All-Stars or one of the value resorts. And it could be that it's this time of year and school's not out yet, but either way, it was a steal for a 1-bedroom villa, and you get so much space. So it's kind of one of those things, like, it's trade-off. You may be harder to get around, but you get a lot more space for a lot less money. That's all. Okay, so for my eyes, I have pretty much done no eyeshadow. I'll typically just grab a powder foundation and just put it all over. I feel like that just ends up looking cleaner throughout the day. I'm not worried about stuff, you know, wiping away, but it also kind of sets the area nicely, blanks it out so it looks more intentional that I wanted it with nothing on it. Does that make any sense? This is how I wear my makeup most days anyway. I mean, honestly, most of what I'm doing is how I wear my makeup most days. But if I'm feeling jazzy, like tonight, I might throw on like a little bit of shimmer or something in the crease. Since we are going out for the evening, I'm going to grab Dusty Rose from the Anastasia Soft Glam. Love this kind of rosy color. So we're going to eat at Akershus, which is in Epcot, the Norway Pavilion, and it's the princess dining experience, and I'm so excited. The girls are going to absolutely love it. We'll have vlogs on Tyler's channel. If you search my husband's name, Tyler Braun, B-R-A-U-N, you'll find them soon. They won't be up yet, but they'll be up in a little while. And yeah, we've been vlogging each day. It's been so much fun. But you get to meet a lot of the princesses, but the food is really good. It's like Norwegian inspired food. So it's just something different too than what you typically get. And I'm just going to put some of the Dreamer like shimmer shade in the crease. This is pretty much like any time I've done eyeshadow this trip so far, this is the exact thing I've done. I feel like this shadow quality is pretty good, where I don't feel like I notice it fading too much. Like, it won't be as vibrant as when I started the day, but it'll still look pretty nice. And then my favorite liner, and I feel like it lasts surprisingly well here, is the Makeup by Mario pencil liner. This one's in the Perfect Brown. It's super dark and rich, but it will stay in the waterline really well. Another waterproof one I love that's a pencil is from Sephora. I can link below. I've been loving for years. I left my pencil sharpener, but Tyler happened to have one, but it's for like regular pencils. I was like, why do you have this on this trip? But it just like did a number on this. I'm like, man. So it's sharpened all wonky. So most of the days I haven't stressed about doing like liquid liner and stuff, but I did bring one that I love that I do feel like lasted surprisingly well. However, I think, oh man, it broke off. Hold on, I might have to borrow his thing again. I totally forgot. We had ordered some groceries. You can order like groceries to your resort and Walmart Plus. Is who we've been using, and I literally threw on last minute. I totally forgot a $1 Wet n Wild pencil sharpener. It's like, yes, this honestly might just live in my travel stuff, because when you need it, you know, it's one of those things like if you need it, you need it. This is really good. It's sharpening really well. I don't know why I'm that surprised. There's plenty of things from Wet n Wild I love. All right, well, it's good enough. So I'll put this in the waterline, and it lasts really, really well. And then I've been kind of just making it look a little more imperfect by blending it out with this brush. And I just like the look of that, but it's kind of perfect because then if any of it wears away, it looks a little more intentional, like it's just a little bit less defined, but still darkening where I want it to darken. You see what I mean? So the liquid liner I brought, I don't know that I ever finished that thought, is Rare Beauty's liquid liner. I really, really love, and I feel like it's lasted pretty well, but I usually don't apply this in the morning. I'll apply it before the evening. I just feel like there's better, more waterproof liquid liners out there. I can link one that I really like below if you're looking for that. And then mascara-wise, dealer's choice, but I use Tower 28. It is one of my absolute favorite mascaras. It just stays all day. I don't notice any flaking, any smudging, even though I'm sweating. There's a helicopter. Okay, so next I would do bronzer. So here's the deal. I love cream bronzers and cream blushes, and I still bring them and will wear them in Disney. but usually I'm only wearing them alone if it's like this point where we're going out for the evening and it's not as hot and sweaty. If it's just going to be a hot and sweaty day, I'll typically just go for powder because it's just going to last longer. You're going to be sweating, and I used to think like, well, if I put on too much powder when the sun's shining on me, I'm just going to look so powdery. The reality is within an hour or two, your skin's already going to, be sweating, and so that powder is not going to look quite as powdery, so it kind of solves its own problem by creating another, but you know what I mean. So the L'Oreal Infallible is one I've really been enjoying. It's the shade number 200 Fair. Is mine. But my favorite is the NARS cream bronzer. Like I said, for the evening time, a lot of times we'll wear it, but just to show you how I've been doing this. Reality is too, like, there are so many brands that make like SPF makeup. Ciele is one. It's a little pricier. That's Sephora. Is it Sephora? I think so. That Sephora sells. All of their products have SPF. So like that's one more thing. Like if you really wanted to, you could go all in. I just don't. But the blush I brought, the cream one I brought, is my favorite, the shade Stockholm from Merit. It's the cream one, and then this is new from NARS. I just bought it a few weeks ago. It's the powder blush in the shade Behave. It's like my perfect shade. Sometimes I'll do the powder then the cream on top, or cream then powder on top. I think I'll just do powder because that's what I've been doing most days. I love this shade. I feel like it is so pretty. New fave for sure. A little bit of blending. The last few things are powdering. And that is like one of the keys to, making your makeup last longer, which most of us know, but it's tricky again for the same reasoning. Like I always feel like if I have too much powder on, it's just gonna look super powdery. Like, is that what I want? But I feel like in the end, I never end up looking powdery because you're just so sweaty. So this is a new one for me. Givenchy does not look new. It is an absolute mess. Prisme Libre in the shade 2. I am loving this for the under eye and also just for all over. And I'll just use one of these little triangular ones I got on Amazon. So we're going to start with the under eye first. Just going to rub it in. And this is definitely going to make things last a little bit longer. And then I'll even get even more on there and just do the T-zone. I don't worry as much about getting absolutely everywhere, but at least on the T-zone for me is key. And then whatever's left, I'll kind of tap on the outer part. The other thing, of course, you could use is powder foundation. I'm holding the mirror of one of my favorites, this Make It Forever one. And this one actually, typically, if I'm wanting to do touch-ups throughout the day, which is pretty rare just because having young kids, I don't know, I just don't feel like I have the time. But it is nice to have, like, you know what I mean? I could just do it while we're walking around if I wanted. But of course, it's also got that coverage. So like for me, blowing my nose, it's nice to be able to reapply in that area if I really wanted a little more coverage. Can I shut this? This is like the smaller version. I feel like it's plenty big. So reapplying sunscreen. So I'm gonna be honest about the way I do it, okay? And judge away if you will, but this is just my system and how I've done it for years. I typically, like, obviously this is a day where we were in the pool in the morning, so I didn't even have makeup on. Then I showered and here we are. But most days, we're getting up, I'm doing my makeup, and then I'm like midway through the day reapplying in some way. So what I do, doesn't mean I recommend you do it, but this is what I do, is if I'm being honest, I will just take whatever sunscreen from that day, get a whole bunch more and put it right on top. Makeup and all, kind of mixes in a little bit. And then I'll just get a little bit more of the makeup I had and blend that on top, like the foundation I used. There you go. Boom, reapplied. Obviously, it's not ideal. Like, in an ideal world, you either wipe it off and kind of start over. There are other things you can use. Again, there are spray SPFs. I've just never really been into them. I don't trust them. Any more coverage, any extra coverage is good. So, if you feel like you would use it, I think that's awesome. I just don't feel like I would ever use it, so I don't know that I've ever brought any. They also have SPF powders. Like, I would probably be more apt to do that, but again, I just never do. But there are definitely options out there. I would definitely test it if you're about to, like, let's say you're watching this video and you really are about to go to Disney or a theme park or somewhere super sweaty. Test it out. Make sure it doesn't break your skin out. I feel like some SPFs my skin can react weird to. Future Jessie, back home from the trip, popping in to say, I am going to invest an SPF powder. I'll pop the one on screen I think I'm going to buy. It's the Supergoop, because I tend to like a lot from Supergoop, and I trust their sunscreens too. Just because it's been years since I've tried an SPF powder, and I'm like, they've got to be better now than when I tried them years and years ago. So I'm going to try it. I'll let you know in a video as we get into summer and I try it on some future trips and let you know how I like it. It's just kind of thinking back on the trip, I think having that in my bag would have been really, really great because there are always going to be those areas on your face that you kind of want a quick application, but it's bonus points that you can get a little bit of SPF coverage. Again, I wouldn't trust the powder alone, but you can get a little bit more coverage and it can kind of fix up your makeup a bit. So in the Supergoop ones I saw, they had like translucent, but then they had ones that were kind of general shades. So I don't know if I'm going to get a shade or the translucent one, but either way, I think that might be the answer because it would also help mattify your skin, which if you're wanting that while you're sweating, just saying. So I wanted to pop that in because this has been on my mind since I filmed this. Yeah, and also the other thing I want to mention is in a few minutes in this video, I'm going to mention an SPF lip balm. And the only complaint I have about it is that you can taste it. So if you guys have any recommendations for an SPF lip balm you love that doesn't have that awful taste, please let me know in a comment. Please help you girl out. But that is the whole thing. I think I did all my steps. Oh, the only other thing is sometimes for the evening, like right now, I would apply just a little bit of liquid highlighter just to make, I don't know, do you feel like nighttime is the time for glow? I mean, daytime is too, but I feel like I'm more apt to apply something like this. This is the Charlotte Tilbury one in the evening. It's in that area. That's it. There's not much different. I feel like it hasn't changed. I filmed this kind of video a few years ago. It really hasn't changed much. Like I feel like however I do my makeup at home is pretty much how I do it in Disney, just maybe with, like I said, my messy way of reapplying sunscreen. And maybe I use a little more powder here just because of everything sweats off. For lips, I use an SPF lip balm. It's like the simplest one in the world. I'll link it below. It's from the Sun Bum brand. It's just what I have. I'll switch that up from time to time, but that's the one I'm going through. So I always have that with me in my purse, along with like a small thing of SPF and my powder foundation, just so like that SPF, if I needed to reapply it to any of us, face or body, we could. For lips, I typically just wear some kind of comfortable lip oil, lip gloss. I'll link the ones I brought below. I'm not going to put it on right now because honestly I need to go brush my teeth. I'm drinking some coffee. It's just, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to put it on yet. I hope this was helpful or enjoyable for you guys. I am glad I took the time to do it because I always love looking back on these videos because it's always fun. Like, you know, I have certain memories being in this hotel and on this specific trip. But yeah, if you are, just shameless plug, my husband Tyler, who's right inside, see, he owns a travel agency. It's called People Mover Travel. If you were like wanting to book a Disney trip, you were completely confused, overwhelmed, whatever, it's free to use their services. They book it for you. They don't get paid from you. They get paid from wherever you're booking. I mean, they don't just do Disney, they do all over the world. But the agents are amazing. I've met, I think, all of them at this point, and they're lovely. They're the most knowledgeable. We know a lot about Disney. They know more. It is incredible. So definitely check that out if you are interested in booking a trip. We also have a Disney podcast. It's called DISNEYVILLE, and we started it last year, and we've been having so much fun. And if you're not into just listening to podcasts, we have just the video version. And in the video version, it's a full-fledged YouTube video. We've got, you know, video of what we're talking about over it, so you don't have to be into podcasts to check it out because it's basically a YouTube channel too. But I'd love to have you join if you're into that. And thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing if you haven't yet, and I will see you in my next one.